Hello there. This is Being God's Obedient Servant channel, doing our Bible study in the King James Version still. If you're new to this channel, this is a Bible study channel, of course, as I already said. What I do is I go through the Bible, verse by verse, chapter by chapter, and pretty much try to help educate people on what God means by a lot of it. Most of it's pretty straightforward if you just read it. Some things are a little confusing, but a lot of people today think that because society has changed, then that means we don't have to obey God's word like they used to. And that's not true. God says, "My word's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow," which means that his word never changes, so his people never change. And if you want to be able to have access to the kingdom, you have to be an obedient servant of the Lord. So, last we was talking about different laws and stuff and punishments and penalties to things. Some of these are no longer um, upheld. I mean, not upheld. These are no longer. A lot of these, the punishments and stuff, is no longer. As you know, in some parts, Jesus says the law is finished whenever he died and resurrected, was brought back to life. So we're all under grace now. The rules are still there, but a lot of the punishments aren't. That's the difference in a lot of things. But it said the rules and guidelines are still there for a lot of it. So, I'm going to go ahead and jump right on in here. We're doing verse 22, as you can see. I said we left off in 21, talking about rules and stuff about livestock, and we're going right back into it. Still talking about these were the rules brought down that God told Moses that was also given to the Israelites at the time. So, go ahead and jump right on in here. Verse 1, chapter 22. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox, and 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. So, pause here for a second to say, God still expects us, if we are to damage someone's property, we are to restore it. That's what verse 1 is talking about. But if someone is to steal it, then the punishment isn't just, hey, okay, you're going to go to jail for, 30 days stuff. They had to replace what they stole either 4 or 5-fold. Now, you think, that'd be like, could you imagine if the punishment for a car thief was he had to replace your car with 5 cars? I guarantee you, they wouldn't really steal as many cars as they would if they had to lose money and everything else so much. But also in these times, if people didn't have money to pay off what they owe, then they would be enslaved to the person, which I think that would actually cause a lot of people to quit doing crime as well. I ain't saying be enslaved like they own you or something, but you would be a servitude, like be their servant until the debt's kind of paid off through the court system, saying, okay, you must work for free for this person and do whatever they say, within reason type stuff, whatever, for 5 years to pay off your debt. I guarantee you, people are like, no, I'd rather go sit in a box for free. And so in these times they didn't have jail cells or dealt with any of this stuff. They straight you got punished properly for the crimes you committed. But yeah, here's God has no remorse for a thief whatsoever. It's like, it said, like, if someone's, a thief be found breaking up he was hit in the way that he died, it's like, oh well. It's like he shouldn't have been doing that. It's like you're not going to punish nobody for a thief being killed, for whatever. Like God really does not have any compassion whatsoever for a thief. And lately in society in America, it seems that, especially like in California area, they're wanting to reward thieves. And it's like, well, you can see where it clearly gets you. It just gets you more thieves. And so they're going to find it really hard when all these businesses close up their doors and stuff, and everybody living in these cities and stuff has no, they'll have money but no place to shop. It's like, that's going to be a bad day when all that stuff happened. But it's coming. It'll teach them a lesson one way or the other, because people can't sit there and have a business with their stuff being stolen. But anyways, let's continue on, verse 3. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him, for he should make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. So here it goes, what I was talking about, the punishment for things if they didn't have money, they are sold themselves. Now, as I said, here it's like you're sold permanently. You could be a servant, actually, no, it's like the person you stole from, you didn't work for them, they were allowed to sell you. That's what that's meaning there. I'm sorry. It's like they sell you to whoever. Wow. Yeah, that would stop a lot of crime too if that was one of the punishments today. Being able to be selling someone into bondage. Verse 4. If the theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be ox or ass or sheep, he shall restore double. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, I'm going to reread that again. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field, of the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard, shall he make restitution. If fire break out and catch in thorns, so that the stacks of corn or the standing corn or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. Of course, this restitution means, paying for or fixing what you damaged. Verse 7. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief be not found, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges to see whether he have put his hand unto his neighbor's goods. So, in that little, insiders trading type thing, as it would say, it's like, hey, we're going to make sure that you weren't part of it or nothing. They said God pretty much knows men's minds, or people's minds, not just men, but women too. Knows the way people think, what they're going to act like, and this, that, and the other. So when you look through all these rules and regulations and stuff from Old Testament, or just the Bible in general, you're going to see God pretty much knows to cover the basis on a lot of things. Let's continue on. Verse 9. For all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox, for ass, for sheep, for raiment, or for any manner of lost thing, which another challengeth to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor. If a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass, or an ox, or a sheep, or any beast, to keep, and it die, or be hurt, or driven away, no man seeing it, then shall an oath of the Lord be between them both, that he hath not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good. So here's one of those things. Oh darn, I done forgot the word, but it's the honor system. That was the word I was thinking of, wanting to think of. But yeah, it's pretty much the honor system here. But I said back then, people actually cared what the Lord said, and they dang sure wanted to obey the Lord because they knew, you know, what the punishments were, and they believed in it. Nowadays, we have a lot of people in the world, they're believing more into scientists and this theory of evolution than anything, and they think, well, it's, to me, it causes a whole lot of problems, people wanting to believe that way, because then it's like, why worry? Why care? You got one life to live it to the fullest. There's no repercussions for any wrongdoing you do. And this is why we have such a society today. But we still have a lot of people, even people that don't follow the Lord, that still want to do good in their heart. And so it's people that still obey the Word of God. That's, God as He speaks to them through the, what we call a conscience. So, I mean, we still have a lot of hope for these people. It's just hopefully I can, people like me and stuff can reach these people so they can start seeing a lot more clearly and hopefully get right with the Lord before their day ends on this earth, so they get to go to the kingdom. Because just because you kind of do good in life, it doesn't cover what bad you've done. And God has to be a just judge on Judgment Day. And, so the rules and regulations are there for a reason. And He has to uphold those. It's just like going to the court today. It's like, if there's a law that's been passed and it's a legal law, the court has to uphold it. Regardless of the situation. They can be lenient on the sentencing, but they still got to uphold that law. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and continue on here. Verse 12. And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. If it be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for witness, and he shall not make good that which was torn. So yeah, as you can see that there, part of that other one's like, even with the honor system, if something's stolen and there's no witnesses to it, this, that, and the other, the person that was responsible for holding it still needs to pay restitution for it. It's just, the proper thing to do. Just because, hey, I'm sorry it was stolen, it's not my fault. Well, I mean, when you borrow something from somebody, like the rule I grew up with, my grandma taught me. It's like when you borrow something from somebody, you treat it better than your own because it's not yours. You take better care of it than you would your own. And I take very good care of stuff that I have because I was just raised that way, to appreciate what you do have. Stuff ain't free, stuff ain't cheap. Even if it's only $5 for something, it really still isn't cheap because that's $5 you had to earn. But either way, I've always been raised with that, and I really thank my grandma and stuff for these life lessons she taught me growing up. Life morals, life lessons, things to live by, whichever way you want to say them. But also, it's stuff like that's caused me to not let people borrow stuff from me, because I've let people borrow stuff before, and I get it back, and it is in horrible condition. And I'm like, you ain't borrowing nothing from me again. That's like I got a bicycle and stuff I let someone borrow and get back. The chain guard's missing, chain's rusted, tires are flat. It's got mismatched tires on it. Pedals are all bent up and damaged because I got the bear claw pedals on it. It was... The brake cables are all broken and everything else. It's like, what did you do? This is a $500 bicycle, and that was back in 2008 when I bought it. and I think it was about 2011, 2012, and I let someone borrow it. And it's like, you soon find out, this was a relative of mine too that borrowed it. So you soon find out real quickly and stuff about, who actually cares. Because, like, people that don't take care of their own stuff, they're not going to take care of yours either. And they just look at it, it ain't mine. Treat it like a rental. I can't stand it when people talk like that. That's the reason why a car rental today costs so daggone much, is because people treat it like a rental. That's the saying now, and they just beat the mess out of it, and they don't care. But somebody had to pay for that vehicle, and is kind enough to set up a system to let you rent it while yours is getting fixed or whatever. You know. Anyways, as I said, we got a lot of moral problems going on in this world today. One day it'll all be straightened out. So, anyways, continue on verse 14. And if a man borrow aught of his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it, he shall surely make it good. That's what I was just saying right there. You're borrowing something. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. If it be an hired thing, it came for his hire. So pretty much God's saying, like, if you're there while the person's using it and they're mistreating it, or, whatever. Here they're still talking about animals and livestock, because that was their primary tools for stuff back then. But still, it's like, if you're there and you're witnessing it and you don't do something about it, then it's like, hey, it's kind of like your fault. Verse 16. If a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. So, this is a thing that a lot of people don't really believe in anymore, that, if a man takes a woman's virginity, technically God says that's your wife now. And if you've been with any other woman after her and you didn't take care of her, well, then you've committed adultery in many levels, and you've mistreated your wife. So, I said, like, a lot of these rules and stuff, they still apply today, even though society doesn't enforce anything like this. God still enforces a lot of stuff. He's going to hold you to it. So, continue on here, verse 17. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Now, this, of course, we don't do anymore, because in these times, if a man give his daughter to be a wife to a man, he had to pay for her training, for her raising, her upbringing, and the fact that she's still a virgin. This was the family could get a big name for themselves of producing quality wives. And so they could ask for more dowry, which means ask for more money, if the family's name is known for having, beautiful and properly acting women that are virgins and stuff of that nature to be given as wives. They can ask for more money than the other ones and stuff out there. So, yeah, in a way, it could be a business. It kind of was in those times, too, depending upon, because there's some bloodline stuff, they produce more women than they do men, and so that's how they started making money. But here's the thing, like, if you purchased your wife and she turned out not to be a good woman and not do her wifely duties or anything of that nature and stuff back then if it was been proven and the man divorced her and sent her back, then the dowry had to be repaid back to the man. So most fathers made sure that their daughters understood what their duties were, what God expected, and especially what God expected, or just what's supposed to happen. And so this is where it's like, if they had the reputation of having the best, producing the best wives, then their dowries were quite a bit more than others. But anyway, going to continue on here. Verse 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. So this goes forward to what happened with the Salem trials. Burning people, burning women alive at the stake, and this, that, and the other, claiming that they were witches. This is the primary verse that caused all that. But as I said, that punishment is no longer done, because as I said, like, the rules still apply, but the punishments have changed. A lot of them have. Like, now we're to pray for somebody if they delve into witchcraft, not kill them. Whatever, execute them, whatever you want to say it. We're to pray for them, because as the teachings is from Jesus, all of us are lost, and so we're not to really lay judgment on those unless we want to be judged in those same ways. So this was one of them. That's right. All that stuff that went on then, it was wrong severely in every way possible. But continue on here, verse 19. Whosoever lieth with a beast shall surely be put to death. And we know what that means. If you're an adult, we call it bestiality. Once again, same thing. It's still an abomination to the Lord, but we are not to punish people for it. We are to pray for people now. Verse 20. He that sanctifieth unto any god, save unto the Lord only, he shall be utterly destroyed. Once again, same thing. The rule still applies, the punishment doesn't. So it's going to be for a lot of these. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry. Jesus even says this, like the church is, one of the church's primary things is to help the widows and orphans. That's the reason why the tithings paid to the church is, one, to maintain the church, and the church is able to take care of those in need, which a lot of them don't really do that much anymore. They leave it up to the state to do it. And it's wrong. It's not the state's place to do what God commands us to do. But, the people that run churches, they'll be judged just as the rest of us. So, anyways, continue on, verse 24. And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as an usurer, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury. So what's that mean is, it's kind of like how the banks mess over a lot of people today. They, especially the credit card companies, they give you a very high interest rate. That's what this is saying. Like, if you got people that are poor and you lend them money, it's pretty much they pay you back what they've borrowed because they're poor. You can't add an interest to it. That's what the lay upon them usury is, an interest rate to what they borrowed. Because they're already poor, but all these banks and stuff like that ripping people off, they're going to get their judgment as well, because that rule is still into effect today. Verse 26. If thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, thou shalt deliver it unto him by that the sun by that the sun goeth down. Some of this Old Testament readings of the Old English stuff's a little complicated sometimes. Um, but yeah, that kind of falls under. It's like the raiment is clothing. So if you take someone's clothing as a pledge, by the time the sun goes down, you got to deliver it back to them. Here's why, verse 27. For that is his covering only. It is his raiment for his skin, wherein shall he sleep. And it shall come to pass when he crieth unto me that I will hear, for I am gracious. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. Now you see there the G is lowercase. That's the false gods and stuff. Okay, we're coming to the end, so this is only 31 verses here, and I got about 4 minutes. So, thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits and of thy liquors, the firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me. So, for those talking about drinking and stuff like that, wine was one of their dominant drinks and stuff in these days. So it's it was used for many things, but your primary thing is you're not supposed to drink to get drunk, but you can still drink. It was used for lots of purposes back then, just sometimes just even chill out and relax. Kind of like what Smokey used to say, puff puff give, whatever. A lot of times, stuff like that is like, is it a sin to do it or not? Oh, it depends on what you're using it for. If you're using it to get high, then yeah. If you're using it just for medical purposes or stuff like that or whatever, it's not. Anyways, continue on here. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. As I said, God calls for everybody to give of their first and their best. Well, mostly of their first. Give the best of their first. There we go. Sorry. Verse 30. Likewise shalt thou do with thine oxen and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam. On the 8th day thou shalt give it to me. Give it me. And ye shall be holy men unto me. Neither shall ye eat any flesh that is torn of beast in the field. Ye shall cast it to the dogs. And of course, as I said, that's the end of that study. The end of that, end of this study of that chapter. My dyslexia is kicking in bad tonight. I got ear infection too. Oh gosh, it's been playing havoc with me. So, but anywho, I hope you enjoyed this teaching. I said before, if you want to like and subscribe, go right ahead. I don't do this for money. I do this to, God laid it on my heart to spread the word, and he laid it on me to spread it this way. So, until I'm told otherwise, this is how I'm going to do it. And so, serving the Lord, I don't expect to be paid for. But, to get it to other people and stuff like that, you can share it or something like that, whatever. If you think there's people out there that that needs to hear it, be my guest. But as I said, I got about a minute left, so I'm going to go ahead and end this study here. I kind of did a lot of talking extra to this. It's only 31 verses, but in these areas, there's kind of a lot to go through. So, anyways, until next time, hope you have a good week and blessed days. Goodbye and good night.